was, just to make sure that he supported the family, because it was a job that was essentially as good as any other job that you could get in Macon. And therefore, the men that worked there, they made the kind of money that the average laborer would make, and make it at $1 an hour. Frankly, I remember one Christmas, because I suppose I had developed a large base of client. In fact, that $1 an hour equaled $40 40 hours a week, I suppose. And I recall making $40 in one day on Christmas Eve. And I recall going home with that money and giving it to my mother, because we worked not to keep things on ourselves, but to support the family. And I remember that because it was a reflection of the fact that I knew I had developed so many clients, and I guess I shouldn't just call them clients. We became friends over a period of time, because most of my customers were college students from Wesleyan, Mercer, even Lanier. And my way of attracting those clients was to get involved in the fraternities and sororities. I knew very little about them, but the more they told me about them, well, I would play one against the other. So if a gentleman came in who was I suppose I remember correctly now, Phi Delta Theta, then I would obviously play up to that. But if someone else came in that was SAE, and maybe they're wrong now, I don't, but I would also do that. So that was the way I attracted many of the young people.
And tell me, you can look.
Yes.
You don't have to look at the
Okay.
camera, but tell me, like you said, it's bringing up all these memories for you. And it sounds like it was just yesterday for you. What are the feelings you're feeling right now, seeing the sign back and knowing that it's going to go back to the rightful place?
I'm amazed, because it just happened that I heard about it accidentally. I mentioned the pig whenever I come to Macon, and people want to know who I am. I said, well, I worked at the Pig'n Whistle, but I thought that it was lost and then moved into oblivion. But after I saw the name of the individual associated with this project, well, I recall that individual was my boss at the Pig'n Whistle. Mr. Hooter was his name, and he actually knew that I was more effective in the hole. So whenever the assignment came to be made when I got to work, I knew when he was on staff, on the shift, that I would get the hole. And that's where I wanted to be, because that's where all of the young people would come, for obvious reasons. Usually on a rainy day, they would go and park there, of course, with their dates, and the rest is history, of course. But that's where I wanted to be, and being there, of course, that's where I made my money. There was one problem I remember, though, for being such a popular car hop. I think it was a problem. I would have so many cars that I couldn't really service those cars as I really wanted to. And remember, the Carhop was not an easy place to work, by the way, because we are men working in a very competitive environment. And sometimes that competition got to be a little bit difficult. So if you had a person who was not making a lot of money, or didn't have a lot of cars, and here I have maybe 15, 20 cars that I'm servicing, I don't have a chance to pick up the tray because I'm not collecting my money yet. So one or two times during my one or two times during my period at the Pig'n Whistle, I had my trays picked up, and the money was taken by the individual. But I didn't know who it was, because it was at night usually. And but that was the difficulty that I had, having so many clients at the time.
Just so many people liked you and wanted to do business with you, huh?
That's exactly right. And I don't know why. It was just that maybe this sorority fraternity situation might have caught on. However, I do remember an occasion where I knew that Dada was the best. He was good at what he did, and he stammered and he stuttered. So I thought maybe, well, if it works for him, it ought to work for me. Yeah. So I began stammering and stuttering in front of one particular customer who admired me. And I used that word admiration because it just appeared that whenever they came in, they looked for me. And I would stammer and stutter, and they would just smile, and that, of course, made me feel good because I would get a very nice tip. Now, we measured tips back in those days. I don't know if you know, but back in those days, a 50-cent piece was a huge tip, because you can imagine $1 an hour. Well, we didn't call it 50 cents, it was a barak. So whenever you got a 50-cent tip when you left the car, you would say, barak. Well, these people that I stammered and stuttered in front of, they gave me that usual barak. So I was always impressed when they came in. However, one day they came in, but they were not the drivers. They came in with a couple,